everybody here at Lazy Good Books. Hi, I'm Lazy Good. And today we're doing our end of 2023. Hey, everybody here at Lazy Good Books. Hi, I'm Lazy Good. And today we are doing the books I've read in 2023. I read over 20 books. Wow, surprising, huh? So let's dive right in for the vlog. Actually, right behind me. So we're doing all of these and all of these down here. So I'm gonna move this to right over here, so we can, so you guys can see. I'm probably gonna be right behind it. Yep. Okay. The first book I've read. This was a good year of reading. If you get to put down here and on the bottom. And then, so the first book, I'm going to move this right over here so you can see all the books. Okay, the first book I've read was actually, if it's a God's time, a devotion book. This is it gives a daytime and nighttime read. Then you can read the daytime one. And this one is honestly quite cool because it gives you a little thing to read and a little thing down here. And it also has a little nighttime. Like a little verse, a little thought, and a little thing, and a little thing written down here. The thing written down here. So this book was actually a great Christian novel I've actually read. And it was pretty much like Finding Your Path. Not just finding your path, but the right path for the Lord helping you through your path every single way. And this book was one of my top favorites. I did find this book really, actually quite good. It is, I think it's Barbary Publishing, whatever you want to call it. This wasn't actually one of my favorites. And only because of it, this one was one of my favorites. Because it was not just helping me with the Word of God, but actually more of finding yourself in the Lord's arms, with Him holding you and all that. And I did feel quite good after reading this book. It was a good, fantastic read. I finished the beginning of the year last year, but this one was a number one favorite, and I did really want to show it. So this one was the first one I read. The next book is actually by Mermaid, and it's called The Unwanted Islands of the Grave. So this one was about a group of kids. A group of kids at master school. The boy's name was... Yeah, this was about a group of kids at magic school. And their teacher was Mr. Today, obviously. But this book was... Yeah, this one, before I tell you what this book is about. It's a mix of the Hunger Games and Harry Potter. Pretty much, because it had animals in it. But this book was honestly about a group of kids. At magic school learning how to do some kinds of magic. Actually, what I kind of find fascinating, and only because I never read an Mr. McMahon book until I actually heard this one on YouTube, and it was honestly amazing novel, honestly, to hear. One of my favorites. But you see the other of my favorites on the stuff that I did enjoy. But this one was mind-blowing. Because they made discover a magic hallway. And of course there was some personal drama and stuff like that in it, but it was more based on magic. And this kid, what was his name? I believe his name was Ryan. I'm trying to see. This kid had two brothers were unwanted, but there was a lot of figuring out where the magic was coming from. Of course, the two brothers were looking for their littlest brother. Can I talk to him? Yeah. No, it was Aaron. Yeah, it was Aaron. And Aaron was in Mr. Today's class. And there was a Down syndrome kid in this book. I believe the name is in Alex. I think it was Down syndrome. Yes, that's who it was. So Aaron and his buds in this book was like discovering the magic, and I thought it was more really fun, and only because it was kind of like, okay, who's the, and the kid actually died in this novel, but I forget who it was, but it was honestly a fantastic read. I loved it, and it was a beautiful novel. The feeling of it, like when you feel the emotional part, it feels like really, really rough right here, but that's because that's the but it was, yeah, this book was great. This one was one of my top favorites, only because it hints magic was brought into it. This next one is actually by my favorite book author, Nicholas Sparks, of course. But this one did not, because if you can tell, sorry, Sammy Shiny. This one is by Nicholas Sparks, and it's his new novel, Dream Man. Well, this one was kind of confusing on the two main characters, but the ending totally made more sense. It was by this kid named Kobe. He worked on his aunt's farm, but his mom died. But only an uncle died, of course. But was it Kobe? I believe. Yeah. So this book was about this kid named Kobe. He went to Florida for spring break. He met a gal, fall in love, went on some dates, and ended up breaking up. But the twists and turns of this novel, well, I forget the other name. Oh yeah, Beverly. The other main character, Beverly, discovered the house that she was divorced from a bad guy who kind of found them. It was kind of nerve breaking, but this one had a really twist that I couldn't figure it out because the storyline was more based on Kobe and was it Meg? I have to look. Yeah, Meg. Meg falling in love. She went to his house to meet his aunt and sister, but the aunt actually, I think it was a heart attack. No, it was a stroke. She had a stroke. That's what it was. She had it. His aunt had a stroke, and ended up in the hospital. It was almost completely better. But when Kobe found his sister, she was overdosed. So she was taking a lot of pills and all that overdose stuff. He found her. She was in the hospital. The ending was quite, I thought was quite interesting because it made more sense. And Kobe found that house. He grew up and started living back in that house. So, but Meg was a TikToker with two of her friends from Chicago. They did all these crazy dance routines and made all these TikTok videos. It was quite. I actually heard this one, and it was the best one I ever heard. Amazing book, really good. This one was honestly my second favorite book of the year. Now that these are 5-star rating, says running to that leads to our next book. We did hear some scary novels. So this was by the King of Horrors. Stephen King is The Mist. I tried to read it, but it was kind of hard to get into it, so I decided just to hear it. It was about this family. They had a houseboat they were living in, but this mist came upon, and they had to head to the basement of the houseboat. The power lines went down. That mist kept going. The next day, the kid Billy was actually playing around with those. Oh, that was for Johnny. Don't know how that got there. See if I can put that there. So, back to this storyline. So Billy was, with the wires, and this neighbor came down, started yelling out of control. I forget who was doing the yelling. It's not in here. But this was a good all-in-one book. Was this my favorite book? No, it wasn't. But it was more like about pretty much. They had an airhead project. It was an airhead project, but couldn't figure out what was a mystery creature. It was a octopus who loved to eat people. And so Billy's neighbor and dad was at a grocery store to get some food and stuff. But it ended up the dad went to the area where everything was, you know what I mean? Went back to the back in days to figure out, but the claws kept coming. But it was honestly good. By the end, they actually all left this state. I believe it was Maine. Yeah, it was Maine. So this was honestly not the best kind of book, but it was honestly a win-win of this book I heard. But like I said, this one wasn't the best book. But towards the ending, yeah, like I said, they had to leave town. The mom and the other brother were actually not seen anywhere. So, leave it on that. So this one all around was amazing. But it wasn't my favorite. So this next one was... Oh, yeah. This was by Kristen Hanna, and it's called Angel Falls. So it was about this girl named Michaela. She loved riding her horse. Riding her horse. When she got back to the barn, she hit the barn post and it knocked her right off the horse. She went into a coma. Her husband is a doctor at a local hospital, miles away. But I forget what his name was. Oh yeah, Dr. Liam Campbell, her husband. And he had to lie down the fork because his wife was in the hospital. She had all these crazy dreams and stuff like that. And she ended up... And I found this book quite fun to read because it's more like winter kind of thing with the snow. If you can see the beautiful snow and a beautiful horse. This was honestly one of the greatest books I ever read. And only because this one was one of my favorites. I think this one was my number one favorite. Yeah, this one is my number one favorite. Because Ancient Falls was actually a real place. In Oregon. I think where this honestly took place. Yeah, in Oregon. No, it was Washington, yeah. It was Washington where this honestly took place. They went to the river also, but the main plot of this book was the main plot of this book was all about Michaela in her coma. When she got out of the coma, her first husband, who actually is an actor, Jimmy too, wasn't actually Jimmy too. He was some other guy who her first husband, and she had a daughter with that first husband named Josie. Josie she borrowed her mom's one gown that she wore to a event. Her mom wore to an event, but she was beautiful at prom. Her prom date was a good guy, and the end of the book, Michaela finally came home, surprised her family on Christmas, and she made a full recovery. And this was, my number one pick. Because this one was a great novel ever. I never thought I would like Kristen Hanna, and she's one of my favorite book authors of all times, along with Nicholas Sparks. This next book wasn't my go-to, but I did honestly want to try this not about. I ended up hearing it, and only because this book was not what I thought it was. It was kind of more like an ID investigation thing. So this book was about this gal. About this gal who she got married. She lived in New York at first. She got married to this man who she was seeing for quite some time. But she ended up missing on their wedding anniversary. They couldn't find her, so they did a search party, couldn't find her. But what happened, how they found her, pretty much was an ex-boyfriend of hers. A millionaire. He was a millionaire. He had a ton of money. And he was kind of snotty. So, this book was honestly not a favorite book, but it kept me on my toes by hearing it. So, it was, yeah, they searched everywhere. Even her friends helped. Even outside people helped. The police helped a lot. The newspaper people kind of wanted to get into Nick Dunn's. That's her husband. Nick Dunn's. They thought it was Nick Dunn who did it, but it wasn't. It was one of her ex-boyfriends. But they ended up finding her, and she went home safe. They did celebrate their wedding anniversary then. It was good, but actually, Nick Dunn did a pair of an old friend kind of thing, like kind of cheating on his wife. Actually, that's one reason why I didn't like this book, because of that reason. But overall, it was an interesting book. And this one wasn't one of my favorites, and only because it was more like figure out who did it. And this one is really popular on TikTok. If you have TikTok, you should know this book was honestly an okay book, but everybody has different opinions. My opinion of this book was I didn't really like it, because I probably want to do an on-haul of this novel. But maybe actually I'm not going to do an on-haul, because I'm still going to keep the book, because I might want to reread it, and only because maybe I'll have a different point of view of the book. So, not my favorite. This next book was one of my favorite books. Sorry, this is a bit of a cough. This was by Melissa de la Cruz and the Cinderella. This book actually took place in Paris, France. So this one was about Cinderella. I think I did the creators. I used to do, but I didn't. So this is about this Queen Cinderella. She lived in the United States, but her godmother wanted her and her family to move to Paris. The mother wasn't really in the story, so her dad made her move to Paris. It was more like a Cinderella retelling, but in a different kind of view. So it was more like the courts of Paris. And so these group of kids didn't make Cinderella feel welcome at all. But then it did. So it was mixed up the Bachelor kind of thing. But Cinderella's father married a gal who had two gals, but they did like a ball kind of thing for the Prince of France's son. But Cinderella fell in love with the brother. And she got voted out. But Cinderella's godmother actually passed away from poison like her dad did. It was honestly mind-blowing, but it was more like a retelling of Cinderella kind of thing. And it was just a beautiful storyline. I couldn't even imagine. Cinderella's stepmother killed the dad with poison kind of thing. They did this beautiful funeral thing that, and right afterwards, Cinderella was an orphan. But actually, the King of France kind of helped her out a bit. She had her new friends that helped, but it was more like a stand-alone kind of book. She felt alone a lot of times, but her brother and her friends, the ones that she couldn't get out because of that stepmother was trying to kill her too, but didn't happen because her brother kind of stepped in and said, "You cannot kill my sister." But kind of thing. So it was more like, and Lady Catherine actually got caught by doing it from the courts. She went in another prison. Both of her girls went to their dad. And just the ending was the whole court setup of one of her daughters did not stick up for her mother. Stick up for her mother, but they kind of told what happened. Kind of thing. So that was this book was about. This one was one of my favorites. I'm surprised of this one because this one was absolutely gorgeous. The book cover is beautiful, but we should, this thing are pretty cool. So this book was one of my favorites of the year. It was a beautiful, beautiful storyline of Cinderella. This next book, oh my word, even like all-time classics. This one is by Karen King. The Secrets of the Old Clock. This book was amazing. I love this one, and only because this one was getting rid of my comfort zone. Couldn't honestly figure out. So Nancy Drew kind of figured out because her dad was a what do you call it? I believe he was like a police officer or something. But ended up figuring out the mystery. She went to a camp. She found the old clock, opened it, and there was the main will that everybody couldn't even find. Nobody couldn't find. But Nancy found it and she saved the day. But the end of the book was the two gals in this book gather money for vocal lessons for one of the gals that Nancy did meet along the way. And the money went to those two girls. Sorry. The two gals. I forget, but yeah, so this one was a great all-around oldie book. Figure out what happened. Nothing, I'm sure definitely does. Honestly. Yeah, so this one was a great book to read. I loved it. Our next one, oh my word. Between, let me see. This one was pretty much Fallen by Norman Kate. Oh my gosh, the best book you could ever read. This one was a great book. Actually, one of the top favorites of mine. I absolutely love this novel. Not only because it was like a love story kind of thing. It was dark romance, slash thriller, slash all different things. But this book was an absolutely favorite of mine, and only because this book was written really, really well. It was about this girl named Luce. Yeah, thriller. It was about this girl named Luce who went back to Southern Cross for school, but that accident was, don't know what happened there. She met some friends on the way, but some did pass away from other parts of the storyline. And one of her roommates was actually I know I have the page on you right here. Yeah, Cam was honestly one of the love interests for Luce. And only because they were good friends in the beginning, then they kind of fell in love. But I think it was Danielle. Yeah. Abby was her roommate. They figured out different things, but the odd part of this book, when there was no phones allowed, phone restriction, but actually, Fallen is a good thriller. It was one like, yeah, page-turning thriller, and it was a love story. But the killer was actually the librarian. But she got out from one of her friends' dad's private jet. That's how she got out of Southern Cross. So yeah, it was her last year there. And then the end I was talking, so great autumn book. I loved it so much. First book of the series. I have a second book. I'd like to give the rest. Something for I have to give it. This book was one of my favorite thrillers of the year. I actually heard this one, tried to read it, but the book was out of this world. It was actually a great novel about a gal that couldn't find her way, but she kept getting in trouble. The other part is this one thrown in there. So Yeah, this book was absolutely good. I did a vlog on this book after the book was done, and you can go back and see what the book was about. Really, really good book. This next one, we're actually doing quite good. It's my very first book. I read this book, the whole book, and I can't wait for read the second one in the new year, because this book was absolutely really, really good. It's by Sonia Messenger, Keepers of the Lost Cities. And this was a gal, I think, named Sophie. Yeah, Sophie. She was in. But this girl named Sophie. She was living on the earth with her mom and dad and sister, baby sister. And. Sorry, and her baby sister. But what happened was she went on a field trip with her class. But oh yeah. She didn't know she was a telepath in the beginning, but Sophie Foster was honestly didn't know where to fit into the that I think it was music school, but yeah, but kept getting in trouble. But actually, she found her way out all the time. So it was a good novel, and only because this book was a great novel, but we were watching her getting in trouble, and she put her life at risk. She had these different episodes in the end, but towards the end, the thieves kind of took her, and I think it was England, I believe. She met some friends along the way, and then there was just a wonderful story. Wonderful storyline. Oh, Fitz was his name. Yeah, Fitz. He took her to his dad, and his dad's friends actually took her in. You know, I'm remembering what this one was about. Ewan and Adeline actually took her in as their own, because their own daughter passed away on Earth. But it was about like little tiny elves, pretty much. Kind of funny different things. But she took this class, but actually got her in detention. The teachers, when they were trying to help her, because she was in a higher advantage level of the higher advantage level of was telepaths are a little different than the magic part of the book, but it was more like so this book was one of my favorite books, and because it was so good. I can't wait to read the second book. The second book is up there. If you can see behind me on that. But this book was a number one favorite. Number one favorite in my goodreads and all that. So yeah, this book was really, really good. The ending was surprising, and she stayed with Esmeline and Edwin. Edwin was one of her friends, but Yeah, Kevin. Oh yeah, Dava, yeah. Evelyn and Dava. So she decided to stay with them. And this book was, I love this book. It was a great fantasy. I believe this was fantasy. So yeah, this one was a great fantasy book. Now I've had to read a fantasy book, but so yeah, that's what that one was about. But I was wanting kids into it, but I don't, So we are gonna go on. So this next book is by this Fessinger. This one was one of my favorite novels of the year. So I read this one actually in the summertime, and I actually enjoyed it. It was a fun read, all in all fun. This is by this kind of Fessinger. The Tale of Emily Misnap. So it was about this girl named Emily Misnap. She wanted to join the swim team. She did join the swim team, but her legs joined together like a big fin. She didn't know she was a mermaid. She kept roaming the seas. Like at night, she met a friend. Let me see if I put the cricketer names in. Yeah, I know I probably did. No, I didn't. So yeah, so Emily was looking for a dad and ended up finding him in an underwater prison cell. He told her to leave, but she didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay with him. It was about her journey to find her dad and bring him back to her mom. But the bad guy didn't really but her mom found her in the end, and the mom and the dad actually reunited at the end. They had to go to live on a desert island. So, yeah. This is another book author I absolutely love. And I can't wait to read the second book of this summer. So I'm quite excited. This next book, oh my word, talking about World War II, this book was amazing. So this one's by Kristen Harmel, and it's called The Forest of Vanishing Stars. So this was a lot about Hitler, how he got started. His own daughter wasn't even acknowledging him. But it was more about that campaign in the end back in the day when Adolf Hitler was killing the parents and telling the children to look up kind of thing. But it was about this Jewish little girl that couldn't understand a lot of things. Yeah, the ninth season yet. But it was honestly, I find this quite interesting because I love World War II. And only because it was just a great, great book. This book was actually one of my top favorites. Like, you should follow it's in others. So this book was out of this world. Loved it so much. Adolf Hitler had his own daughter kind of it was more like talking about more about Hitler, how he got started, and with all the Nazis going around killing people. So that's what pretty much what this one was honestly about. It was quite interesting to read, and actually I didn't read it. I heard it, and it was amazing. Oh yeah, character names: Una, Olaf Hitler, God's chosen people, and Grimmon. Yeah. So with the God's chosen people in this, they tried to stop that war going on, but they couldn't stop because that's killing like the Jewish people. Hitler was, and it was a quite interesting novel. I love this book. It was a great pick. I love this book that much that rereading it, I just might. Who knows if I will reread this book. But it was a favorite book. I absolutely loved it. This next book, oh my word, telling about a nightmare. Okay, this one's by Nikki Daughtry and Rachel Levickett. All this time. This one did not really scare me, but just a little bit. But this book was honestly a really great all-in-one book because it was about this girl named Cupid and her boyfriend. Kyle. It was about this guy named Kyle and his girlfriend. They were in a car accident that thought she died. But what happened was he had a really bad nightmare that wasn't the best kind of nightmare he had. He had a really bad nightmare about his girlfriend dying, but it really wasn't Kimberly. Actually looked at academic colleges, picked a different college, but he met another nice gal and they fell in love. Marley. Couldn't find her, but she actually died from a car accident thing towards the end. This one wasn't one of my favorites because it was enemies to lovers kind of thing. But it was a great book. I don't say a great book because this one was enemies to lovers kind of thing. But I kind of liked it because of different perspective, because it was more about the paranormal aspects. The part I did love of the book, but this book, I actually heard this book, and it was, oh my word, it was really, really interesting to hear. But, so yeah, that's what this book was about. Good on my book, but not my top favorite. Two books are not quite done, but working honestly towards the end. Okay, this one is by Frank W. Dixon. It's of the Hardy Boy series, The Tower of Treasure. This one was two mysteries in one. And this one was famous in, I want to see. Here we have. No, we didn't. So this was about, two mysteries in one. So they had to their friend's house. I forget the name of the friend, but it was more like a mystery vibe to it. It was honestly a really good novel. I actually enjoyed this book, and I'm in the next Dream one, and I can't wait to read the second book. So that'll be more this year. It's kind of fun. So this book was honestly about two mysteries in one. Like I said, it was more based on their friends. Japia got stolen, but they didn't figure out who stole it, whatever. But they actually, so this one, I'm trying to remember. I might have to grab my reading journal for that. But this one was pretty much about a stolen Japia. The guy had a red wig on to figure out who the wig honestly belonged to. And he was a kind of like a criminal kind of thing because he lived in New York. And he ended up passing away. But the tower treasure, they couldn't find the treasure. And it was like a big mess kind of thing. It was in a mansion. It was a water tower that they found all that stuff in. But the person who actually was the boy's dad was a detective. Then it was Nancy Drew's dad on the other one. But this one was, I love these old books because you never know what a book is about. But actually, back to the storyline. They found the treasure. They gave it back to the people who were looking for it. And it wasn't their dad. Somehow their dad got into prison for stealing property. But it was the guy who actually passed away who did all of this disaster mess. So this was a good all-in-one book. My second favorite. Oh, this one kind of made me. This next one got me a little scared. But so this one is by Judy Lane Anderson, 13 Reasons, Book 1, The Mummy Thief. So this one was pretty much another paranormal kind of thing. This one was about Rosie. Her mom was one of the 13 witches, but she didn't know with all these scary sounds, creaks, and then going to the woods where she was actually born in a haunted hospital. It was like, okay, where is this going? But I ended up finding, I think it was Edgar Christie was one of the ghosts. Yeah, Edgar Christie was one of the ghosts, but she was one of the evil ghosts in the storyline. And only because the main part of the storyline was all about Rosie and her friend Germ. There was like some kind of weird thing going on. They had to they were talking about some animals in here. But it was a great book. The ending was kind of scary. This book actually almost made me scream because there was that kind of scary kind of thing. But it was a great book. I loved it. The ending was, oh my word, it was amazing. How they found the main witch. And now Rosie is one of the 13 witches now. So that one was that one. This next one that I thought, if you go to reading the Babysitter's Club books, I recommend. Actually, this one was called. This one was book number 10. If you know what number you're reading, so that's number. This one's by N.M. Martin. It's called Looking Like Stacy. So it was about Christy's birthday. Kind of thing. This new guy came in, helped to babysit with the Babysitters Club. The kids were kind of like, okay, who's this new guy? But Logan went up liking Mary Ann, and kept looking at her. And it was honestly a good old time classic. Love this book. So, the big dog was in this book. One of the Babysitters Club actually let the dog out and jumped on one of the kids after getting out of a school bus. But the end of the story then was, I heard this one, it was a very fast book, but it was honestly they rounded up do a surprise party for Mary Ann. Logan was invited, so I was supposed to have other kids, but Mary Ann didn't actually feel herself, so she ran home. Her dad, we're gonna have to end this vlog soon because her dad got her dog for her birthday. We're gonna do this. The Bible was talking about all these different stories. My favorite one was John and the Revolution because it was that good of a novel. But hold on, I need to grab my charger so we can continue the vlog. I might have to turn the iPad in only because okay, I'm gonna turn this because my iPad is almost completely dead here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this way. So now, we're just gonna do it like this. Okay.